So what does it really take to turn a big, ambitious idea into something truly stunning? Well, it's almost never a straight line. Today, we're going to break down the anatomy of a successful creative collaboration to see what makes it all click. Let's get into it. Okay, just look at this. I mean, the detail, the light, the sheer realism, it's just perfect. This right here is the final product, the destination. But getting here, that's the real story. It's a journey filled with vision, tons of communication, and just meticulous, step-by-step refinement. So the big question is, how on earth did they pull it off? All right, so our story starts with a brand new creative partnership. You've got a popular jewelry brand on one side, and they have a whole collection of new products they need to launch. And on the other side, you have a highly specialized 3D creative studio. Their shared mission? To create a huge suite of digital images that look so completely real, you'd swear you could reach out and touch them.
Now, we're not just talking about making some pretty pictures here. Photorealistic 3D rendering is a seriously demanding craft. It's where art and science totally collide. The entire goal is to make images from digital models that are so realistic you literally can't tell them apart from an actual photograph. And to get to that level of quality, you need some deep technical know-how right from the get-go.
A project this big, this ambitious, you just can't rush into it. Success really starts with a super meticulous planning phase. Let's take a look at how the team took what could have been a really daunting task and turned it into a clear, actionable plan.
So they didn't just jump in and start modeling on day one, no way. Instead, they built a solid foundation. It all started with an initial briefing, which was then followed by a really detailed audit of all the existing 3D files. Just to see what they had to work with and what needed to be built from the ground up. Then the client provided a ton of visual references for all the new items, and only then could the studio map out a detailed scope and timeline. Every single one of these steps was collaborative and absolutely essential.
What's really fascinating here is the level of detail they needed just to get started. When the studio had to build a 3D model from scratch, this is what Martin, the creative lead, asked for. He didn't just want a photo. He needed to understand the object in 3 dimensions, a little spinning video, shots from all sides, close-ups. It's just a brilliant peek into how a 3D artist's mind works.
And this right here, this is what expert foresight looks like. Before the project was even officially kicked off, Martin was already anticipating this huge workload. By accurately forecasting the hours just for the 3D modeling part, he knew right away he had to scale up his team. That kind of proactive planning is exactly what keeps a complex project like this on track and prevents major headaches down the line.
Okay, so the plan is set. But a plan is really just a map. Now we get to the heart of the journey, the day-to-day creative process. And this is where communication becomes the single most critical tool for success, especially when things, inevitably change.
Take this, for example. The client needed to add even more products right in the middle of everything. Now, that could have been a massive disruption, but just look at the studio's response. It wasn't no. It was yes, and here's how we're going to do it right. They immediately focused on a solution, bring in more people, and, this is the crucial part, integrate the new work into the plan together. Of course, even the best-laid plans are going to face some curveballs. One of the most common hurdles in any creative project is a sudden shift in priorities, usually because of an urgent deadline that pops up out of nowhere. And here's a perfect example of that in action. The client is feeling the heat from a big launch for these necklaces. From their side of things, a high-priority item has just stalled out. But the studio's response is so calm, clear, and just factual. They simply explain what happened, that there was a previous shift in focus to the watches without placing any blame. That kind of transparent communication let them get back on the same page and get those necklaces right back on track fast. So, how did they get every little detail so perfect? The secret, really, is in a constant, collaborative feedback loop. Let's dive into how this iterative process is what turns good work into truly great work. Take a look at this Amazonite ring. On the left, that's version 3, and you can see the client's specific, marked-up feedback. They're pointing out the subtle facets on the stone and the exact curve of the band. And on the right, the final approved version. This just brilliantly shows how that precise feedback gets translated by the artist into a flawless final image.
And it's the exact same story for even more intricate pieces, like this crystal-named necklace. The feedback here is all about these tiny little details, the placement of individual crystals, the way that chain links connect. It's that meticulous attention to detail from both sides that guarantees the digital product is a perfect match for the real thing.
And for something as complex as a watch, this process is absolutely essential.
From the texture on the watch face to the reflections on the two-tone band, every single element was carefully looked at and refined. It was version by version, through this back-and-forth collaborative loop, that they built their way to perfection.
So after weeks and weeks of planning, modeling, rendering, and refining, the final results of this partnership was just a complete collection of stunning photorealistic assets. It's a real testament to the power of their collaboration.
I mean, the final collection really speaks for itself. As we look at these images, you can see how every single curve and connection was modeled with just absolute precision. The final renders capture the pure, inherent beauty of the jewelry, showing exactly how light plays off of each material.
The level of detail they managed to achieve was simply incredible, right down to the texture on the absolute finest chain.
And at the end of the day, every single one of these perfect images was the product of a true collaborative partnership.
So, what are the big takeaways from all this? Well, it really boils down to 4 key things. First, proactive communication that turns potential problems into moments where everyone gets back on the same page. Second, mutual expertise and respect, where both sides really trust and value what the other brings to the table. Third is adaptable planning, because you have to be able to flex when priorities change. And maybe most important of all, a shared vision for exceptional quality that guides every single decision along the way. This whole journey just goes to show that the right process and the right partnership can make even the most ambitious creative goals totally achievable. And it leaves us with a question to think about. In your own work, what are the essential ingredients that make your collaborations truly great?